Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. I am Stylosa, so I'm finally back home and I've had a chance to play Ashe in even more detail. I've also been talking to a ton of people about this hero and what they think. So what we're going to do in this video is well, ask the question, is this just a better McCree? And the answer to that is kind of yes, based off initial knee-jerk reactions. Anyway, so let's go over what this hero can do. What we've got to stress here is this is PTR and things can change. Now, what you just watched me do there is detonate the dynamite. Now, the way the dynamite works is it does 30 to 75 explosion damage based on how close you are to the dynamite when it explodes, and then it will burn you for 100 damage. Now, for actually yourself, because it will damage you if you get caught in the burn, I think it does about 80, 85, 86, 87 damage in total to you, so it won't do the full 100 damage to you. However, you notice that I detonated the dynamite. This is the skill shot element of this hero, where you can throw the dynamite, shoot the dynamite in the air, and it will instantly detonate. This means you can basically decide when you want to blow up the dynamite, but you have to shoot it, and it can be quite difficult. There is a certain angle you can throw the dynamite at, kind of like about 35 degrees or so, when you're parallel with the ground and facing directly forward. And as soon as you throw the dynamite, you can then fire into it. The problem is, you don't really get into that situation that often. As you've seen me at the very start of this video, I threw it down into the payload and then shot it on the payload. Really, really, really nice little bit of skill. Really, really cool. You can see there, I threw the dynamite, but actually, I'm not going to get much value from it because I wasn't able to detonate it, and the rest of the enemy team are going to move away from it. So, let's forget about the dynamite. Let's talk about the coach gun, because you're watching me use this to move around the map. This is why she's basically a better McCree. When you're using the Viper, which is the primary weapon, in the scoped format, you're basically doing McCree levels of damage. When you're firing from the hip, it doesn't do that kind of damage, but I will go over the weapon statistics in a second. However, let's just talk about the coach gun. You can see me using it there. This is huge. Imagine if McCree could get up to this high ground, right? He can walk up there and he can jump up the crates and get up there. But the speed I can get up there with this hero is ridiculous. Also, it's just better than Soldier 76. It's like, it's crazy. This is a hit scan hero that comes straight into the game, in my opinion, and is just better than Soldier and is better than McCree. I mean, okay, you don't have the sustain of Soldier, but you can move like ridiculous. You can get out of damage. It's just crazy, right? And besides, you should have healers that can heal you, right? That's probably a good thing. Anyway, so the coach gun, I think, does around 90 damage if you hit people with the whole thing, like the full whack of it. So it's pretty good. Again, there, you see that? I shot the dynamite. That's really, really cool. Look at all the burning damage it's doing, giving me loads of ultimates. So anyway, the coach gun, it does damage to people, but often you're using this thing to move around the map. Still, it's pretty good. If somebody jumps onto you like a tracer, you can coach gun the tracer. It'll knock you away, and as you've shot her with it, then you can start firing from the hip, and you might kill her. Okay, so it's really, really good. She's got a lot of defensive options. Now, I think I'm about to use Bob in this clip, or kind of get close to it. Possibly. But just look at me moving around the map. It's so cool. One thing you do have to get kind of familiar with, though, is the Viper and the way it reloads, because you reload one bullet at a time. And this does catch me out sometimes, where I'm sort of like firing and then trying to reload, but I think I've reloaded fully, but I've not. But I mean, look at that, look at that, look at that. What the hell? Look how I've just got back up onto the... It's ridiculous. This hero is ridiculous. So again, I'm trying to throw my dynamite and fire, but I didn't actually hit anyone, because I'm so bad, ladies and gentlemen. But if I was better, I would have done that. So let's just cover the coach, the Viper. So firing the Viper from the hip does 20 to 40 damage. So 40 damage for headshot. No, sorry, 20 to 40 damage, right? Which is pretty... Yeah, it's decent, but you don't actually have the accuracy, right? There is kind of like a random spread involved, and it's kind of not great. You can spam it. So what it means is if somebody dives onto you, you can spam into them. So if a tank is near you, like a Winston, you can often coach gun away and then spam into the Winston. But what is more effective is using the scope, because the scope is ridiculous. You just do more damage, right? So you're going to do about 40 to 85 damage now, which is ridiculous, right, with the scope. So obviously you want to bring the scope up and start popping heads. You're basically a McCree, right? It is crazy. Now you have to aim. Okay, so I'm using Bob here, and Bob does loads of work, right? Bob is... like, I mean, I just got a triple kill off Bob, but I think the enemy were heavily damaged anyway. But I'm just going to go over what Bob does, because Bob, the best component of Bob is his knock-up. This means you can launch him forward and knock people in the air. And if you guys can see the chat there, I am actually suffering like these like micro lags. Only seems to happen on PTR. It's dead weird. I don't know what's causing that. But yeah, so Bob goes forward. Bob's got 1200 health, so he's very hard to kill. You can also nano boost Bob, which you will see towards the end of this video, because the Ana player nano boosted Bob, and my Bob actually does quite a bit of work. So he rushes forward, knocks people up in the air. which is great. I think it does damage. It does about 100 damage, maybe 120 damage or so. But that's not really what you're using it for. You're using it for the knock-up. Because think of the combo. Think of the synergy. Think of, like, you rushing forward, knocking people up in the air, and your Reinhardt Earth shatters straight through the enemy Reinhardt barrier because he's been knocked up in the air from Bob. That is where the value is going to come from this ultimate. However, at the end of the charge, he stops. And then he starts firing. And this is where he's kind of a bit meh. He turns into a Torb turret, essentially. I think he does about... I think it's over 100 damage per second. According to the wiki page, it's 112 per second when he's firing at a target, which is decent. But of course, because he's a stationary turret, you can just hide from him, or you can put him to sleep. He is susceptible to crowd control mechanics. Also, he can capture the point. Now, I'm not too sure that'll remain in the game because that seems a bit silly. Probably the reason why he does that is because they're seeing him as like, oh, he's like a 7th member of your team. He's not really. He's just a glorified turret. But he is super strong, right? Because he knocks people up. Any kind of crowd control ultimate is really, really strong in this game. One kind of downside to it is it does seem to take a fairly long time to charge Bob. Now, of course, it's PTR I'm playing on. It's a bit of a mess. You don't expect to get your ultimate all the time. It's not like an ideal scenario. But Bob is not that rapid. And rightfully so. I don't think it's bad. I think it's kind of okay, or he feels okay anyway. But yeah, Bob's super strong. And this is really bad. I missed the tracer on the floor. I didn't miss it. But look at that. Winston jumped onto me. And so what do? I basically fall off and Coach gone away and Winston's screwed. So good. I think this is the nano boosted Bob segment now. Yeah, so I tried to save myself. It's unlucky. But the nano boost is on Bob, right? As we'll see in a second, right? There he is. Look at him. Nano Bob. And he's actually in a pretty good position there. But think of this in a proper game scenario, right? The enemy team's probably got their Winston barrier or their Reinhardt barrier blocking the Bob damage, or they've put Bob to sleep, or they've done something to shut Bob up, right? I don't think shooting Bob is the play because he's got 1,200 health. I don't think your team's ever going to turn around and kill Bob because he doesn't really output the damage to make him that dangerous. It's just the initial charge and knock up what he's used for. So, why is this hero basically better than a McCree? Because of the movement, ladies and gentlemen. It's dead simple. It's got an AoE bomb, which is pretty good. As you can see, I'm messing around trying to hit it there. That's pretty good. It charges your ultimate pretty quick as well when you get that onto everybody. It's got a ×1 zoom on the scope, which basically turns it into McCree's weapon, but with a scope, right? It can hip fire faster and does less damage with less accuracy, but you're only really going to use that if somebody jumps on top of you, or you've got like a tank that you want to spam into, possibly. But I think even then, you're probably going to do more damage if you bring up the scope and then start firing. Like if a diva jumps into you, I think on paper, you're probably going to do more damage if you bring the scope up and just fire into Diva's face, because she's genuinely quite easy to headshot. Whereas a Hammond, for example, you're probably just going to spam hip fire into him because it's really hard to hit Hammond in the head. So there'll be situations like that where you'll use it. The coach gun makes the hero ridiculous. You can see me jumping all over the map. It is crazed. Imagine if McCree could move like this. People would be like, this is ridiculously OP. What's McCree doing? So Blizzard just, like that there. You see that? I'm going to die. I'm going to die. But that was really smooth. That was really cool. I'm caught out of position, but then I throw my dynamite down. I shoot the dynamite to detonate it, then start firing into people. That's why I think a lot of people are going to love this hero. It has got a massive skill ceiling. There's loads of things you can do with it. But it doesn't get around the sort of point that this is just a bare McCree. So I don't know why you would use McCree. Or Soldier. I mean, Soldier is like, he's okay, but Soldier's time to kill is so high that this hero can just tap you twice in the head. McCree can tap you twice in the head and you're dead. This hero's doing the same thing. Okay, it's not as strong as Widow, and it never should be. Like, one thing I have noticed on the PTR is when you try and take Widow duels, well, a duel with a Widow, it's not clever, right? Because Widow's just going to kill you with one shot. You need 2 shots to kill her. So 2 headshots, she's just going to kill you. So it's always in her advantage. So you're not better than a Widow, don't think that. But you've got so much stuff in your tool, in your kit, and you've got movement abilities, you've got a really great engagement ultimate, you've got a fantastic primary weapon. This hero is so good, ladies and gentlemen. It is so good. But in the back of my head, what's going on with McCree? What's going on with Soldier? You know, why have they introduced this hero? Maybe they just wanted to make the hero, because when I look at like meta-changing heroes, you look at Brigitte, yeah, she changed the meta in arguably a very good way, and she brought a lot of sort of dynamic team comps into the game, but she's Brigitte and nobody really likes playing against her. This hero is like, hey guys, have a high skill hit scan hero, which is better than 2 heroes already in the game. maybe that's inevitable, right? As more heroes get added to the game, this kind of thing's going to happen. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. One thing still remains, though. This is a super fun hero to go. But are we going to see more heroes be made redundant in the future? Now, remember, again, this is early days. We're going to have to wait until we get this hero into competitive, actually onto the live service, before we can make any final judgments. All of this stuff is just based on my initial reactions at BlizzCon and having played PTR. But yeah, awesome hero. Weapon sounds great. Plays great. Looks great. Ultimate's great. Everything is great about this hero. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video, then like the video. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. Toodaloo.